the problem with such a small fund historically is that you, David, are not going to have a lot of fees to live off of. Even if you got 3% on $3 million, only $90K a year. So how are you going to survive in terms of fees? What are you thinking of fee structure here?
Well, that's why it's a good thing that I have the Acquired podcast with Ben. And my partner in this in kindergarten, Nat Manning, is the COO of a company called Kettle. So he's full-time founder.
Perfect.
And yeah, this is for our deal flow on the side.
Love it. This is a great way to start off. You have other revenue sources. And as people know, my first fund, I just did a 20% carry and no fees. It was $11 million.
We're not taking fees. It's A, because we didn't think it's right because we're both full-time on other things. And B, because what are we going to do with the money anyway?
But you should, any legal fees or accounting or something you can put against it, but you're not taking management fees. And I did that on my first one as well. And that fund had Calm and Robinhood in it. So
haven't heard of them.
Congratulations, by the way.
I think that fund... Yeah, it'll be in a way, except I don't plan on selling Robinhood shares for a decade, personally. I will distribute the shares at some point to our LPs when our lockup's up, but I don't see a case for me wanting to sell those shares when the company's only worth $30 billion and it's got 22 million active users. I don't know how y'all feel about it.
So you're not like feeling take the win, lock it in?
Heck no. Think about the last double up. The last two double ups in this game are so material.
Oh, we preach about this on Acquired all the frickin' time. This is the mistake Sequoia learned with their Apple investment. They sold their Apple investment for $6 million total. They owned like 20% of the company.
Makes no sense. You want to ride your winners, as we've been saying on the All In podcast a bunch, and it's time in market, not timing the market. I could see, I know this sounds crazy to folks, I could see some of this cohort that came out in the last group of decacorns, Coinbase, because I do think crypto is going to be around for a while. I could see Coinbase, Airbnb, Uber, DoorDash. I could have seen Slack and certainly Robinhood. I could see all of those having a 10 to 20x in them.
Yeah. There's this is perfect for the theme, the meat of the episode in a little bit that we'll get into.
Yeah, but, it is actually. If you were to look at that cohort, Ben, Ben, what do you think of David's plan? His little
I think it's a great plan.
Is it a good plan? What advice do you have for him?
There's so much opportunity just in the Acquired Slack alone from people pinging him and pinging both of us and being like, hey, I'm starting a startup. What do you think? I really like the pod. That it's a shame David hasn't had firepower until now to take advantage of it. So I love the strategy. I also I'm a proud investor myself.
Right. Ooh,
and I
you
asked
put a
David,
little 2550 in there? You put 550?
Maybe a little sub that. I'm early on the journey, but I asked David
what commitments to make.
What can you promise me? What kind of reporting are you going to send me? And what's my portfolio structure going to look like? And portfolio construction going to look like? And what stage are you playing at? And he just laughed at me and he was like, yeah, I mean, I'll let you know when there's returns. So
perfect.
I like the light lift that he's got going on.
I like that as well. Now, to be an LP in a fund, I do think there's two things. Putting aside returns, we're going to be pretty sure David's going to get good returns. He's got great deal flow. He's established in the industry. Anybody who's a startup that wants to get 25, 50K would be, wise to take his money. I think that's a no-brainer. Or even 100, but you're going to add a lot to it. But I do think thinking about when you're an LP in a fund, I'm in 20 funds or so, and I can't be in any more, but I am thinking about being in this one. And the way I would think about it is, are you going to let us know about the deals in real time as you do them in one of these micro funds, David?
Yeah. So the plan is yes. We're still just getting up and running. I've been thinking about setting up a private channel in the Acquired Slack and just putting all kindergarten folks in there, LPs, our founders.
I'm in. If you do it, I'm in for that. I'll put in 25 if you do that.
Great. 25K to get access to the Slack channel.
Well, I already have access to Slack channel. I'm a paying member of Acquired FM, but I'm thinking if you do a deal and you're putting 25 in, maybe that's just, a good signal for me for a downstream syndicate investment.
Great.
Downstream or current, right?
It could be current, yeah, sure. But, I'm going to assume some of those rounds might be closing up quickly and maybe I don't get into them, but,
So that's what I was thinking is, things are going on. We post about it in the Slack, like, hey, and then with the founders are in there and our LPs are probably the largest group of LPs is GPs, other venture firms. And then
That's why
we've
they're
got other
doing
great
that.
folks in there.
That was Mark Andreessen's plan. He was in our first fund. He was in my first fund, and he came out of nowhere and said, "Oh, I heard you're raising a fund." I was like, "Where'd you hear that from?" He's like, "Oh, I'm Mark Andreessen." And he's, "I'll put 50K." And then I kicked him out of the second fund, or didn't invite him back, because I invited him on the podcast. And he said, "Yeah, no, I'm not going to make it." And then his PR people were like, "Oh, you can have all these other people on the podcast." And I was like, "No, Mark should come do a keynote at the event." And then Mark was like, "Do I have to be on your podcast and come to your events and do keynotes in order to be in business with you?" And I just wrote back one word: "Yes."
You're
And
like,
then that
dude,
was
you
the end
should
of our-
want to be on my podcast.
Well, I was just like, you know what? You're being a jerk for no reason. And you're on everybody else's podcast. You're on Panda, which is trashing you constantly. If you're on panda.com or whatever, come on my podcast. Like, it's, you know.
I have a question for you,
And
by the
that
way.
is where
on
all
that.
that's where all the acrimony comes from with me and Mark.
What is the origin of the Twist name, This Week in Startups?
So I was on This Week in Tech with Leo Laporte.
Yep, because that's what I was wondering.
I asked him, "Hey, can I use the name to do This Week in Startups?" Because I was only able to be on, it was very hard to get a slot on This Week in Tech, and I would be on 1 out of every 4 or 5 episodes. And I was trying to be on more because I was trying to build my profile, but it was just like Kevin Rose was on and all these famous people were on at the time. And I was like, "Hey, I want to talk about startups more," because it was This Week in Tech. It was more about the new iPhone and whatever. And he was like, "Yeah, go for it." And then I started doing other This Weekends, and that kind of pissed him off a little bit, but we worked it out. We hashed it out.
Nice. Because I was wondering, Ben and I were actually talking about this. Why, at this point, shouldn't you just call this the Jason Calacanis Show?
100%, yeah, at some point. But I kind of like my legacy of This Week in Startups. But yeah, I'm doing it 4 days a week, 5 days a week, so it's a Jason Calacanis Show. Yeah, I'll take that under advisement.
And it's where I go to get my direct drip of Jason, because when I'm listening to All In, your boys are trashing you a little bit. They're taking the mic, they're running with it. They talk too long, and then you try and talk, and someone's, "Oh, pass the ball. Why can't you learn to pass the ball?" So
Yes.
It's nice to have the straight stuff.
Thank you for that. It's actually made it easier now that I'm doing 4 or 5 days a week on this show. When I'm doing an interview with somebody, I don't need to interject as much because people got their fill of Jason from when I do the news up front and then I do the interview on most episodes. And then on All In, I'm just like, you know what? I'm just the point guard. I don't need to shoot. I'm just a pass first point guard. And if I get some reps in, fine. You're going to get enough of me from that. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your business. Blog or publish content, promote your business, announce upcoming events or special projects, and sell products and services of all kinds and more. They also have powerful e-commerce functionality, and everything is optimized for mobile right out of the box. So no matter what you're using, an iPad, a Surface, an iPhone, an Android phone, it doesn't matter. All these beautiful templates just work. And of course, it's got built-in SEO, free and secure hosting, and 24/7 award-winning customer support. We did Remote Demo Day in 2020. We were suffering through the pandemic. We were confused. How are these startups going to get funded? And I said, throw up a Squarespace site. It's a project. Maybe it turns into a business. And boy, did it ever. We have now funded over a dozen companies, over $14 million in funding. And this all from setting up a simple Squarespace website and tweeting it. So go to squarespace.com/twist for a free trial. Squarespace.com/twist for a free trial. When you're ready to launch, use the offer code TWIST and save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. And congratulations for the team going public by direct listing on May 19th. What an amazing journey it's been. Congratulations again. Okay, let's get back to this amazing episode.